Honey, honey, ho. Yibbidi-boo-bop. I gotta stop trying that. Greetings and salutations, beautiful humans. This is Amity Ravenclaw Elf here, and I know what you're thinking. Boy, Amity Ravenclaw Elf, you deserve to be eating some mini M&Ms right about now. I agree, thank you. I got these as a gift. My mommy got these for me as a gift, and I want to eat them. How did that happen? By the way, I'm not sponsored by M&Ms because of course I'm not. So a while back, as we all remember, Disney won our hearts and minds by... Down. She doesn't listen to me, I don't know why I try. So a while back, Disney won our hearts and minds by informing us that they're gonna make a Tiana miniseries, or not miniseries, I don't know why I said miniseries. They're gonna make a Tiana series on Disney Plus, and we were all very excited. Whoa, they're finally doing something with that property. That's wonderful. Oh, she wants to go outside, 1 second, sorry. Outside the room, not outside the house. Outside the room, not outside the... I can't talk, actually. They're making a Tiana series, kind of like they made a Tangled series, and that's something that people enjoy. Haven't seen it, maybe I will one day, who knows. I'm thinking of watching My Hero Academia as well. As a person who enjoys Princess and the Frog, and as a person who enjoys making stuff up sometimes, I'm gonna just, just shoot off the dome, or off the detailed outline that I wrote on my computer, and I'm gonna say what I would like to see in a Tiana series. What will be cool, what will be fun. It's gonna get uncomfortably specific. So you may notice the title to this video is similar to the title to the Rewriting Descendants 3 video, but this is gonna be a little bit different because the Descendants 3 video I made after Descendants 3 was already a thing. So I got to look at the movie and say, I could have done so much better, but I already had a rough draft readily available, whereas this, I got nothing. I don't know what they're doing with the Tiana series, so I'm just making stuff up. It's gonna be cool or bad, and you get to comment either way. So for this video, I'm gonna go over some conflicts, characters, and things that I would love to include, and pitfalls that I would love to see avoided for the series. Starting with conflicts. If you don't know, the Princess and the Frog animated movie is about a woman named Tiana who really wants to run a restaurant, but she's poor. She has to raise money for a restaurant, and she does because she's hardworking. But the people who own the land or the building that she wants to buy for the restaurant are like, actually, it turns out you're a black woman and we'd rather sell it to someone who isn't a black woman and you were outbid and stuff, so we're not gonna sell it to you for the agreed upon price. And she's like, oh no, my dreams! But then she kisses a frog who asks her to kiss her. Like, there's a frog who's like, hey, kiss me, I'm actually a prince, and she kisses him, and she turns into a frog also. Magic happens, eventually she marries the prince, they're both human, it's fine. I speed ran that explanation because I'm assuming you have seen Princess and the Frog. But anyway, by the end of the movie, the state of things is Tiana has her restaurant. Also, she's married to the heir to a throne of a different country. Those two things seem like they're kind of, at odds. So obviously, one of the potential conflicts that we're looking at is, oh no, I own a restaurant that I want to be actively involved in the running of, but also I might be like a head of state. I might have just like married the heir to a throne. I might have to do something with regards to that, maybe move to the country from which he is heir. His parents seem to be in good health, but also, like, he seems like he's the eldest child to the throne, and that's, conflict. That seems like a place where conflict would come from. What else are we looking at with regards to the whole restaurant thing? Well, the Great Depression, that could be something. I don't really want to go into the Great Depression, because, like, that seems like it'd be a bummer to be like, oh no, what if the business is broke, when actually the business, like, seemed to be booming in the epilogue of Princess and the Frog. We don't want to undo the epilogue. Everyone knows you don't undo an epilogue, usually. Anyway, we're getting into the interesting ones now, because, what I was just listing, those were the obvious conflicts. Those are the things that everyone's thinking of as soon as they see the end of the movie. They're like, oh, wait, doesn't she own a business? Isn't this a problem? But what else have we got? We have Tiana's internal conflict. She's a person who grew up, having to work hard her entire life, and now she's moved up socially. She's got some social mobility going on, and now she's got money. She's kind of just like, maybe doesn't have to work all the time. She kind of might just be sitting around like, oh, I guess that I delegate now. I guess other people are doing the hard work and I'm kind of just, doing the paperwork. She's not used to not being on the grind. That could be a source of conflict. She feels a little guilty about the fact that she has money now. Girl, explain yourself explain to me why you're doing this. One aspect of that I would like to have happen is that maybe the chef from the diner that she used to work at kind of, you know, is going out of business because her place is so popular. We're to assume that her place is only open at night, but we can wreck on that. People are going to her place so much, they're not going to his place. She is in a position to maybe undersell him, you know, basically just kind of eat him alive, but she doesn't do that. Instead, she supports small businesses, and we're gonna circle back to this conflict later on, okay? So, like, keep this in mind. She's gonna be in a position to just eat up this smaller company, but she's not gonna do it. Naveen's also gonna get an internal conflict because, you know, he's also a main character. In the movie, we're to assume that he wasn't close to his parents because, first of all, they cut him off for being a leech, and second of all, because when he says that, you know, he's familiar with the story of Princess and the Frog, he said that his mother had the servants read it to him. He doesn't say that his mother read it to him. He said, my mom had the servants read this to me every night. So we're to assume that he and his parents aren't too close. So what I want to have happen is maybe his parents really like Tiana, and that kind of messes with him, like, whoa, I've never been close to my parents. They've never seemed that interested in my life, and now all of a sudden they're super invested in Tiana. They love Tiana. Tiana hugs them and stuff, and he's kind of trying to find his place in the family now, that he's not just asking them for things, because I'm sure that before his interactions with them were mostly just like, hey, can I have this, or hey, I took this, or something like that. But now he's learned to work for himself or do things for himself, and he doesn't know what their relationship is built on anymore. Maybe we can have a little theme there about how our impressions of people don't always adapt to who they are now. They kind of just stay stuck on what we knew of them before. His parents knew him as someone who was, you know, a taker and lazy layabout type situation. Now they have to come to terms with the fact that, hey, no, he's like a really interesting guy. Also, this is going to contribute to a theme of everyone liking Tiana, because I want everyone to like Tiana. I'm kidding, of course. They're going to be people who don't like Tiana. I'm not going to just sit there and have Tiana be a character every other character likes. That would be crazy. Our primary antagonist is going to be a made-up European country that wants to colonize Maldonia. Maldonia is a country that is being threatened with colonization by this other country that doesn't exist. It's not like England or something. It's a place with a name we've never heard of, much like Maldonia is a place with a name we've never heard of. They're going to have a wizard who is a practitioner of European magic. Now we're introducing the fact that there's other kinds of magic. It's not like there's voodoo, there's hoodoo, as Mr. Wow, I took away the man's whole doctorate. As Dr. Facilier has said, there's, you know, voodoo, there's hoodoo, and things he ain't even tried. There's European magic as well. And here we're gonna... Why is the camera... I am so sorry, I didn't even notice. Here we're gonna get a conceptual parallel to Tiana being outbid on the cotton mill in the movie. I haven't decided how yet, but also I'm not really writing a series, so it's fine. But yeah, the whole colonization of Maldonia thing is gonna somehow also parallel the, Tiana being outbid on the cotton mill. You know what else it's gonna parallel? It's gonna parallel the situation with the chef at the diner, because it's like, oh, Tiana was in a position to overtake this smaller business, but instead she chose to help them thrive. Okay, she chose to help them thrive, which is indicative of who she is as a person, and the other country was in a position to take over Maldonia, and it chooses to try to take over Maldonia. Maybe it isn't a European country, like it could be a different country. I said European because that's kind of just like what I was picturing, but I guess it could be somewhere else. But the fact that Maldonia is being threatened with colonization is going to kind of resolve some of Tiana's guilt at being a princess of a whole country. Also, prohibition's going to be a thing, but we're not going to make it about alcohol because this is Disney, and I don't think Disney wants to be like, why can't we get a drink? What we're going to have is prohibition on magic, because, you know, after Dr. Facilier did his thing, we're going to have this, like, little organization go like, no one should do magic ever again! That's going to be a problem, because it's like, no, voodoo is a big part of our culture, and it's not like this evil dark magic thing like you think. Voodoo is like a major thing for a lot of people. So that's going to be something. Prohibition of magic instead of prohibition of alcohol, so we can have prohibition as a thing, but not a Great Gatsby situation. Although Great Gatsby is public domain, so maybe it's Tiana. Tiana meets Jay Gatsby. He falls in love with her, and they run over someone. We're done with the conflicts. We've talked about some conflicts we could toss around for the series. You know what else we could toss around? Some characters. Obviously, we still have Tiana, we still have Naveen, we still have the King and Queen of Maldonia. Tiana's mom, Eudora, was voiced by Oprah, so I don't think we can really afford Oprah, and I don't want to do that thing where you just get a less expensive actress to voice her for the show, because we're not doing anything inauthentic, okay? So what we're gonna do is just like, we're either sending Eudora to Maldonia, like maybe she has a little health condition and she needs to be treated by Maldonian healthcare. Maybe she just wants to be pampered because she's the princess's mom, so she wants to go to Maldonia where she's like treated with a lot of respect. Like she sends letters every now and then to Tiana, just like, hey, here's some sage advice, and Tiana's like, I got a letter from Mama today. And that's my Tiana impression. Or maybe Eudora's just dead. Maybe we just kind of like, you know, I feel like we shouldn't kill her, though. I feel like that would be too much of a bummer to just dump on Tiana. Her dad's already dead. We can't do that to her. Lewis is still there, the alligator. Yeah, alligator. The alligator Lewis is still there, but he can't talk / well, he can talk probably in his, you know, understanding, but we can't understand him because we're humans. Tiana and Naveen are humans, and he's a crocodile. Alligator. He's an alligator. So that's going to be a little consequence for the end of the movie. We can't talk to Lewis anymore. Every now and then we're going to get a visual homage to Josephine Baker's cheetah, you know, because, you know, Josephine Baker would walk around with her cheetah, I'm to assume. I know Josephine Baker had a cheetah. I don't know if she really, like, walked it down the street, but I've definitely seen movies where she walks it down the street. So we're going to have Tiana walking Lewis down the street, and it's going to be really cool. We got this put-together, wealthy African-American woman walking a dangerous predator on a leash. Or maybe not on a leash, but I think that legally she would probably have to have him on a leash, and I think Lewis wouldn't mind. And that way also, like, when we do hear Lewis, it's an event. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, we can hear Lewis again. Either with magic or someone turns into an animal. Getting to that later. Lottie is also still there. I don't know if Lottie's dad is still there, but Lottie herself is still there. Charlotte, I mean.
Prince Naveen.
And her thing in the show is she's tired of devoting her life to the manhunt, so she's working on self-improvement. She's working on herself. She's learning life skills and whatnot. If we have time, maybe we'll give her a story arc kind of like Sybil from Downton Abbey, a kind of, you know, rich girl, learns some trades and starts doing things, develops a political opinion. Probably not one that would, like, threaten a modern worldview, but maybe she's like, hey, women should... rights, I don't know. They can already vote in this time period, so I'm not sure what political movement she could be rallying for that wouldn't be... But yeah, she's kind of on a Sybil story arc, minus the end part. And maybe we can get like a little mini conflict between her and Tiana over that. Maybe Charlotte shows up to Tiana like, hey, I'm learning skills, I want to get a job at your restaurant. And Tiana's just like, Lottie, you don't need a job, you have a lot of money. I don't want to just like give a job to a person who has money and doesn't really have the skills necessary to do the job just because we're friends. And this can kind of pull up another theme because Tiana views work as the thing that helps you survive. You do work because you need money because you need to live. Or like you do work because you need money to get to this goal. Work is like a very utilitarian thing for her. Whereas Charlotte views work as just like a self-fulfilling thing, a self-actualizing thing. They're both going to be really like strong in their opinions on that. They're going to have a tiny conflict. They're not going to like full on fall out over it, but like Charlotte's going to be a little bit hurt that Tiana doesn't want to hire her, and Tiana's going to be a little scornful that Charlotte wants to, in her view, take a job away from someone who actually needs a job, as opposed to like Charlotte's just like wanting to feel fulfilled. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have the chef from the diner she used to work for, and like that's going to be a whole thing where he's kind of resentful of her, and that's going to feed Tiana's guilt. Mama Odie, the character, is going to rarely or never show up. I want to build a sense of notoriety around Mama Odie, so like maybe at some point they need some advice or magical help, so they go to the boat in the tree to find her, and either the boat fully isn't there or the boat is abandoned. Basically, they can't find Mama Odie. She is not accessible to them at this time. It's going to be kind of an Aslan in Prince Caspian situation where it's like, things never happen the same way twice, dear one. That can maybe contribute to a thing where it's like, oh, Mama Odie is there to help the downtrodden. You're doing fine. You guys are doing fine, so you can deal with this on your own. New characters now. We're talking new characters, and I'm making this up completely. We're gonna have a daughter or apprentice of Mama Odie. She's not gonna be like a magical character per se, but she studies and respects voodoo, and she's gonna be like very solemn and intellectual and bookish, and we're gonna call her Vera because, you know, Vera, truth, you know, it's cute. I have a cute naming convention going on here. The characters are gonna talk to Vera, and Vera's gonna like solemnly tell them either her findings, her studies, her knowledge and insights into voodoo and magic in general. When the European wizard comes into play, she gets to say, there are many kinds of magic in the world. I haven't studied his kind. Like, ooh, mystery. And actually now that I think about it, that's kind of interesting because instead of exoticizing voodoo, we're gonna be exoticizing the European magic. We gotta have at least one employee at Tiana's restaurant as a character. I'm thinking we're gonna have a chef in training who has a crush on her because every cartoon should have a character who has a crush on the protagonist. Gonna be a character who blushes when she teaches him things. Maybe she does like dicing over his shoulders and he's like, ooh. But he still respects Naveen. He's not like over there, ugh, Naveen, I want to take his place and be Tiana's husband. Like, he's not one of those. He respects Naveen, he respects Tiana. No Hal from Megamind vibes at all. I'm gonna call him George for no reason. Maybe he's also a character who teaches Charlotte how to change a tire or something just to give him something else to do. Maybe he also helps Charlotte learn some trade work, and he's gonna model unrequited love in a healthy way for the kids who watch the show. And it's not gonna be like, oh, it turns out I didn't love Tiana. He does love Tiana, and like it's okay to genuinely love someone and not own them. We're gonna have another chef. This one's like really mellow and blissed out. It's a woman. She loves cooking, and she twirls gracefully around the kitchen, and she's always spouting out folksy proverbs. I'm calling her Emily, also for no reason. I don't know why I built up my naming convention as this like really insightful thing, because at this point, not at all. And Emily has a way of helping people to see the bright side or learn the lesson just by venting to her. Like, she's not really giving them insight. She's just like, oh, really? And like they're learning just through by talking things out. Kind of like how they say, oh, if you want to code something, talk to a rubber ducky. She's the rubber ducky. She's gonna have great chemistry with Vera because she's, you know, kind of sprightly and blissed out and calm, and Vera's kind of solemn and like also calm but like low calm, and you know, Emily is high calm. The ship name for Vera and Emily is gonna be Verily. Emily's also gonna have good chemistry with Charlotte because Charlotte is high energy happy and Emily is low energy happy. And the ship name for Charlotte and Emily is gonna be Emelody. I've really thought through the ship names, guys. The ship name between Vera and Charlotte is going to be Veralody. It's not going to be a common one because we're not going to see Vera and Charlotte in the same space a lot, and their chemistry isn't going to be as sparkular. I don't know why I said sparkular. Isn't going to be as great as the chemistry between the other pairs. The ship name for all three of them together, so Vera, Charlotte, and Emily, is going to be Charverily. Or something. I didn't give a lot of thought to the third one. Another character we're gonna have a rich restaurant regular. She's always gonna be, or he, I don't care what gender really, but they're always gonna be in the dining room like, oh, Tiana, this special was amazing and stuff. She seems so nice most of the time. She's like nice to the waiters. She's always saying how good the food is, but one day she's gonna find out that Tiana brings leftover food to the poor. You know, like, cause like sometimes there's food left over in the kitchen and Tiana's like, I'm gonna bring it to the poor. And the rich restaurant regular, suddenly we're going to see a dark side of them because they're like, oh, I feel disrespected as a patron / customer of this restaurant because I've been paying for food and you've been giving it away for free. It's like, I feel disrespected as a paying customer. And we, the audience, are all going to feel a little bit betrayed. Like, what? I thought you were cool. I don't know how we're going to really resolve that, but I kind of want to see that argument come up where it's just like, oh, you're giving food to the poor, but what about the paying customer? So that's going to be a moral quandary, and we're going to have the kids asking questions like, hey, we should give food to the poor, but hey, what about the paying customer? And I think it's good to present both sides of that to the kids so the kids can really find their way in that argument. We're going to have some royal guards who are protecting Tiana. For now, like, I haven't really thought through those two characters yet, so for now they're just going to be like RG1 and RG2 from Undertale. They're just some cute himbos who have chemistry with each other. Like, they're into each other, but they're also bros. The European wizard, of course, is going to be a character. I'm thinking we're going to have like he's going to be like a funny and lighthearted villain, but also ruthless. Kind of an affably evil type. He'll hold a conversation with them, but also he'll do like the most evil, like awful messed up stuff, but like in a kid way. He's not gonna do evil, awful messed up stuff in an adult way, but in a kid's cartoon kind of way. Through him, we're gonna get some world building about magic, just like we're gonna get some world building about magic from Vera. We're also gonna get it from him. One thing I want to explore is that even Facilier's magic was based around deals. Like, it seems like a lot of the magic that was done in Princess and the Frog was about consensual deals that were done. So what is there non-consensual magic? Like, what is the cost of doing magic independent of a deal? What is the toll it takes on the practitioner of magic if the person you're using it on isn't consenting to it? Because it must be some kind of cost, because Facilier wasn't doing non-consensual magic, except for maybe the attempt at voodoo dolling Mr. LaBeouf. Like, he was about to voodoo doll Mr. LaBeouf, but that's not something he regularly did. Like, we didn't regularly see him doing magic on people who didn't agree to it. And you can even say maybe that Mr. LaBeouf willingly entered that ceremony by being part of the wedding. I don't know. But it seems like there must be some cost to doing magic on someone who didn't agree to it, because Facilier was doing deals at all and not just saying, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like, if you needed Naveen's blood, you could have just taken Naveen's blood, so there must be a reason why he didn't do that. Like, why there had to be, like, handshakes and cards and all of that. So maybe this European wizard does some non-consensual magic and we get to see why that's a problem. We're gonna call this guy Bernard for no reason. Actually, I think there was a reason when I wrote that down, but I don't remember. So look up the etymology of Bernard and let me know if I'm clever or not. And of course, his ship name with Vera is Vernard or Veranard and something like that. Obviously, that's going to be like a cursed ship. Like, everyone's going to judge everyone who ships that, but we still got to make room for cursed ships. So yeah, Veranard is the ship between voodoo studious girl and European magic evil guy. He's going to be hot, because he would be hot in the fan art anyway, so we may as well make him hot. We're never gonna have him talk or converse with Lottie, because like we don't want to have an overpowering ship be like two heterosexual white characters, so we're gonna try to maybe circumvent that by not having him and Lottie talk a lot. Side note, ever notice how almost all the characters in the MCU Spider-Man movies are people of color, and yet most of the fan fiction about MCU Spider-Man is somehow about white people? Like his best friend is brown, his girlfriend is brown, his ex-girlfriend is brown, his school enemy is brown, but the fans like did the mental gymnastics of shipping him with like 40-year-old white men. What's up with that? Anyway. Oh, I kicked the tripod. I'm sorry, tripod. I would go full petty and say that he never even shares a screen with Charlotte, like never shares a scene with Charlotte, but I want Charlotte to get turned into an animal so we can hear Lewis talk at some point. Stop. Hey, down. Okay, fine then. But yeah, I want Charlotte to at some point get turned into an animal to balance out the fact that like Tiana got turned into an animal in Princess and the Frog. And by the way, Charlotte should have gotten turned into an animal too, because she kissed Naveen when she was no longer a princess. So by the laws of the movie, she should have turned into a frog, but she didn't. So we're balancing that out now by having her get turned into some kind of animal. I want Bernard to turn Charlotte into something so that like maybe so she can't warn Tiana of something. And that's how we get Lewis to talk at some point. Because I don't want Lewis to never talk. I just want there to be some novelty to it. You know, Disney has kind of a pattern of turning people of color into animals. We want to kind of move away from that a little bit. And we have to add another character because we have to take the maybe he's just complicated attention away from Bernard. Like I don't want to Oncelerize Bernard, so we got to have another character to take the Onceler energy that the fandom might end up having. So I'm thinking Lawrence from the first movie has a little brother, which is canon because, you know, Facilier said, "You've been pushed around by your mother and your sister and your brother." So he has a brother. I'm thinking the little brother's gonna be like a secretary or assistant of some kind. And that brother character, he feels like Lawrence brought shame to the family. Because the fact that Facilier said like, "Oh, you've been pushed around by your mother and your sister and your brother," implies that maybe there wasn't a dad present in the picture. So I'm thinking that Lawrence was supposed to be like, or he was expected to be the man of the family, but he was like a criminal. He betrayed the Maldonian throne, so he brought shame to them. And now the brother is like, I have to be the man of the family, and I have to erase the shame that Lawrence brought to us. So the brother is gonna be super loyal to Maldonia, and like really traditional about the rules and the laws of Maldonia. So if anyone's trying to, you know, change some rules or laws, the brother's gonna be pretty resistant to that. He never wants to actually argue with the royals because he respects them so much. He respects Naveen, Tiana, their king and queen. He respects all of them, but he also doesn't want anything to change, so he'll kind of go behind their back to make sure that stuff doesn't work out when they want to make changes to the rules. You know, sabotaging attempts at reform behind the scenes. Now we kind of have an anti-villain going around. I don't know. We have an anti-villain to rally behind, so the fangirls can be like, oh, like his name can be Anthony, and I don't care who he's shipped with. I think that's all the characters I've come up with. I think that's good for now. Now, in the want to include section, we gotta have some fluff between Tiana and Naveen. That's a must. We gotta have songs. It's gotta be a musical. Of course it has to be a musical. If it's not a musical, well, no, I can't say that anymore. That's not that's not a joke anymore. If it's not a musical, then I guess we have to fight. Some sub points of the it has to be a musical thing. I want at least one arguing duet between characters, only because I like arguing duets between characters. If their parts could overlap in a kind of counterpoint duet kind of way, that'd be great. I want at least one I am or I want song put in a minor key. At least one song that is a much more intense reprise of a previous song. Doesn't have to be a previous song from the movie, could be a previous song from the show, but I want another song that is an intense reprise of it, like a dark reprise, not a sad reprise. I'm not looking for a slower, almost there type thing, like they did in the movie. I'm looking for a dark reprise, like the reprise of Friends on the Other Side they did when Facilier was dying. We gotta have at least one fluffy love song between Tiana and Naveen because we'd love to see them be in love. And I want at least one fast-paced, nervous-sounding dinner rush song, kind of like in Ratatouille the musical or the various songs that didn't make it into Ratatouille the musical. Last bullet point on the stuff to include section, we want to see the rich helping the poor, especially Tiana. We want to see the rich helping the poor because if people move up socially and then don't remember their roots, that's gonna be a bad look. It's gonna be a Malin Descendants look, in fact.
I lied to you. The kids won't be coming off the aisle.
Okay, pitfalls to avoid. We definitely don't want to portray voodoo disrespectfully. In fact, I really hope that Disney is actually hiring some voodoo experts. I can't imagine they're making a Tiana show without any mention of voodoo, and we want to make sure we're doing that correct. So, and we want to avoid bootstrap mentality. I don't want to see Tiana have the impression that the grind is the answer, or like being on the grind is what got her to where she is, and that like people who don't get to her level are lesser because they aren't working hard or anything like that. We don't want to see any of that, like not even a hint of it, not a dab or taste of it. When she was on the grind, she was miserable. She knows that she was miserable when she was on the grind. She was exhausted. She was collapsing into bed only to immediately get up to go to the next job. She saw in Mama Odie's gumbo pot.
Double, sometimes triple shifts. Never letting on how bone-tired and beat down he really was.
She saw the flashback of how miserable her dad was when he was on the grind. Like, obviously he still loved his family, but like working that job really kind of drained him a lot. And also it wasn't even the grind that ended up getting her restaurant. Ultimately her efforts were ignored for racist/sexist reasons. She worked hard, and no one can deny that she worked hard. The thing that got her the job really was like the donation from Charlotte and pressure from her alligator buddy. So we never want to see her have a superior attitude towards people who maybe aren't working as hard in her view. We definitely want to maintain the understanding that hard work isn't gonna get you all the way there all the time. Maybe that's a heavy note to end on. What else can we talk about? Maybe you can be sitting. No, that's worse too. Oh no, I'm knocking the bed down. Ah. No, she fell. She fell. This is a nightmare. So I think that's all I've got to say about the Tiana series. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see in the Tiana series and what you definitely don't want to see in the Tiara in the Tiana series. Do you also think it should be a musical? I think it really, really should be a musical, but I love musicals, so maybe I'm just biased. But you know, the Rapunzel series was a musical. We got that great song, Ready As I'll Ever Be. I did not watch the show, but I have that song on my phone. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay safe. Maybe just kind of be inside for right now. Take care of yourselves, drink water, eat celery, eat apples, do things that you enjoy. You know, maybe some like sit-ups inside the house, or some push-ups inside the house. Eat tiny M&Ms. They're beautiful and they taste very good because of the square cube law or whatever. And have a great day.